All right, this is the inside of a 5-speed transmission out of a Suzuki Sidekick from the early 90s. Just walk you through how it works, and basically it's relatively the same for any manual transmission, but obviously the bigger, the more torque you have, the more horsepower you have, the bigger the transmission. Same thing for the more gears you have, etc. So on the back here is a chunk of plastic, and that just meshes with the worm gear that gives you your speedometer. That little button there is attached to this, which gives you your reverse light. So that's what that guy is for, which kind of indicates what that shifter will do. I'll get to that later. Of course, the whole thing has to be sealed, so it's going to be bathed in transmission fluid, your gear oil, so that everything meshes smoothly. And then all of it runs over these bearings, and the transmission is sealed in with a gasket that you'd squeeze in, like a ready-made gasket that comes in a tube, and when you sandwich it all together, it seals up. So this is your input shaft. And if you can kind of bear with me here, the whole transmission is in neutral. So the rear output shaft, if I could, I'll stop it with my foot here. All right, so the rear output shaft does not move. And that's just how it works, right? That's because it's not in gear, it's in neutral. The reason why it spins is actually just because of the amount of friction generated by the grease, effectively, and the synchros. So inside the cabin of your truck, you'd have your shifter, your shift knob, and it's got a little nub that engages with these forks, and the forks tell the transmission what to do. So this engages with these collars and throws you into gear. What's important to note is that the splines are actually they're not meshed with the drive shaft at all. They're free spinning, but they're attached to the secondary gear here. So what the collars do is they lock this gear, or any of these gears, into the secondary gear, which provides you the output force. So as a simple guess, this looks to be first, and of course first would be tied to second, and then after that you're going to find third, then fourth, and then probably fifth, and this is reverse, just as a guess. So if I was to select first gear, I'm going to grab this guy and I'm going to bring it backwards, and that's going to drive this collar back, and it's going to mesh with the synchro, so that's the brass metal in there, and this is going to force its way backward into first gear, which is going to give me lots of torque and not much speed. Right, so the vehicle is going to be able to move out of the dirt, or move uphill, or tow a trailer, or whatever, and then you're going to get up to speed, and then you're going to move into second gear. Right, so that's this collar moving in that direction. So that's second gear. Then you're going to go back to neutral, of course, and then onwards and onwards and onwards until you get up to fifth, and then whatever you're parking in your back into your driveway, and you want reverse, so you're going to plunk it into reverse like so, and then you're going to get the reverse action. So if I spin it one direction, it's going to rotate in the opposite, which actually I think that's fifth, so this is going to go that way. That's right, because you want low torque, high speed, so that'd be fifth. And then if I can get it in there, there you go, reverse. It's going to give me the opposite action, so I'm rotating in this direction, and I'm getting an action in that direction with some torque. So that's how reverse works. What else can I tell you? In the transmission rebuild, it was a bit, it is simple. Like, it can only go back together in one orientation. So you kind of can't get it wrong. This is the first time I've ever done it. The kit's relatively complete. Of interest, reverse gear doesn't have a synchro, and that's actually quite important, because if you're moving forwards and then you shove it into reverse, you're going to cause some damage. So it actually doesn't offer you a synchro, and that's kind of a good thing, which is why your vehicle can't move backwards, or you can't put it in reverse while you're moving forwards. You have to come to a complete stop. So that's pretty important. A bit of a head scratcher for me as I was putting this back together. Yeah, and all of the bearings and the seals get replaced, just like I was saying. There was one or two I actually chose not to replace, simply because the bearings of all things were in good shape. Underneath each of the gears will be a cage bearing. On my transmission, they were splits, so they come into two pieces and they slide over, and they remained intact the whole time. The one of issue was in, I guess it would be 4th gear, which would explain why it was difficult to shift, is the cage bearing in there completely detonated. There was shards of metal in there. And 2nd gear was difficult to shift, so I figured synchros, and I think I was right, and shifts a lot better now. So hopefully, if I've done this correctly, which I think I did, the transmission should be good to go. Yeah, that's all I've got, so hope this was of use to you.